Hi guys, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, my name's Naha and I am a tarot teacher and reader and a tarot deck archivist here in Los Angeles at a place called House of Intuition. If you haven't heard of the House of Intuition, definitely check them out because they have so many amazing things that you can use for rituals and your own personal magic, everything from candles and incense to online classes, and they have a Moonbox subscription that comes out every month. All kinds of new things are always coming out with them, so the links will be down below. And I also am the founder of the 22 Teachings School of Hermetic Science and Magical Arts, and I teach everything beyond tarot to developing intuition, crystal healing, meditation. I lead an occult lodge here every Saturday morning, so there's a lot of stuff going on. And I actually just got back from up north a little bit, so there was a big festival just about halfway between San Francisco and LA. It's called Lightning in a Bottle, and it was my second time up there teaching, so I got to meet a bunch of you guys and I got to actually really make some cool connections. And I always love being able to have those opportunities to take the teachings out of my little hometown and share that with you guys. So I taught astral projection and soul purpose activation and elemental magic. And if you guys are interested in studying a little bit more formally with me, you can either do that here in LA or you can check out the 22 Teachings website and you will find audio classes that you can download. You will find free classes there on astrological tarot. There's a whole bunch of rituals. I actually just created a brand new ritual. It's a violet flame invocation for clearing the mind of intrusive thoughts and negative thinking. So go check that out. And I'm really excited for what we're gonna do today because yes, we're gonna open a package, but I also have a little bit more than usual that I can share with you guys because I was able to actually interview the artist that created this deck. And so this is a little bit of a featured artist highlight as well. So I first saw the cards that I'm about to show you guys just when I was on Instagram, and there is a person that I follow and it's an artist. She goes by the name of Lumi, and on Instagram she is Pranic Room. And I saw this deck and I don't even know for sure if it's her Instagram that I saw it on first or if it was someone else that I follow, but it led me back to her and I said I have to order this deck. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and open it as I share some of the things that I was able to ask the artist, and so you can get firsthand what her ideas are. Now this box has come from San Francisco, but Lumi actually lives in a place called the Ozarks. And this tarot deck, and I didn't even put this together until I was asking the questions. So this tarot deck is called Tarot de Ozark, and it's spelled Auxarcs, and it's French. But it wasn't until I asked, why is it that you named your tarot deck this, that I realized that the pronunciation of the French word Ozark is the same as Ozark, the place. So what I found out is that the Ozarks are actually, this is a mountainous region. It's also called the Ozark Mountains, and it covers almost 50,000 square miles over northern Arkansas and southern Mississippi, and it extends all the way through Oklahoma and Kansas. And what Lumi shared is that a lot of people wouldn't even realize that this is a mountain range because the peaks don't go up super high, just I think she said around 3,000 feet. But when you put that together with the valleys, which go down very, very deep, there is a huge range from the highs to the lows. And this is also an area where there is just tons of lakes and rivers. You guys know that Arkansas is one of the places in the world where some of the most beautiful crystal clear quartz comes from. So it is a very magical, very earth magical kind of place. And there's lots of wildlife there, and I'm sure that that has to have a huge inspiration on any artist to live in such a beautiful location. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this box. There's nothing like cracking open a brand new tarot deck. I'm just really excited here. And there's actually two in here because this I couldn't order just one. I had to order two. So I'm going to leave the second one in here, which I did buy for a friend. And I think I mentioned that this came specifically from the printer. It didn't come from the artist herself. So this is the first thing that we see. This is the deck. It's not in a box. It's just printed. And that's what this printing studio does, is it takes artists' work and it puts it into deck form. So what Lumi said is that after she did the paintings, then she transferred them into digital format, sent them off, and then the printer studio makes it into a deck. So if you guys remember from history class, the United States bought a huge chunk of the country from France in 1803. It was called the Louisiana Purchase. And if you look at a map, the land that was contained in the Louisiana Purchase goes all the way from Louisiana, and it's basically the whole center of the country. So it goes up through Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Kansas, and up Iowa, and most of the Dakotas, and all the way up to Montana. So if you just imagine this whole sort of diagonal section, it was much, much more than just Louisiana. But back in the 1600s, French explorers were going to this region to basically map it out. And, you know, people that made maps, they're called cartographers. Is that right? So when they got to the top of the Arkansas River is where they decided to name that area Ozark, and in French. Apparently that means the top of the top bend of the river. And so people that didn't speak French called it Ozarks, O-Z-A-R-K. And that's where apparently this area got its name. Lumi shared with me that she also named this deck for another reason, and that is to let people know it's not a traditional Tarot de Marseille deck. There's the Fool. Do you see this beautiful color that we have here? There's the Magician. And you can see some influence from the Marseille deck. Please excuse the Band-Aids. I had a little bit of camping tragedies over the weekend. And I think you guys are going to be able to see why I was so drawn to this very unique deck. Oh yeah, my kitty likes them too. There's La Papesse, and you can see that she did use the French titles here. And I love the fact that the cards go all the way to the edge. There is the Empress. Just beautiful, beautiful colors. I asked her what it is that inspired her to use the different colors, and this is what she said. I tried to make each card's color reflect something particular about the meaning of the card itself. For example, the Devil is bright red to reflect its hot, angry aspect, and the Wheel of Fortune is also bright red, but for different reasons. The red of this card is meant to reflect excitement and passion, the danger of risk-taking, and the power of fate. So let's go ahead and look at, oh, it's so beautiful. There's the Strength card, or as it's called in French, Force. Let's see that Wheel of Fortune card here. It should be next. Oh yeah, that bright red card. You know, these are just really stunning. And then let's look at the Devil so we can compare those two. So she had in mind that passion, that energy. And then she also gives the example of using brown in the Temperance card, which we'll see here in just a moment. Death. And here's Temperance. And the reason why she used primarily brown was to reflect this card's aspect of low-key moderation and the tendency to mix and muddy ingredients. Isn't that interesting? I was so glad I asked her this. So that mixing of elements that's going on there, the mixing of the dark and the light, right? And she also talks about the Hanged Man, which she said that she painted in order to resemble a doorway, but also that the Hanged Man could look like he is floating in a stream or in a pool. And I thought that that was interesting for the fact that in the Hebrew Kabbalistic associations of the Hanged Man corresponds to the element of water. So I don't know if she was aware of that or not, but if she wasn't, then that was pretty intuitive of her to make the Hanged Man look like he's floating in a pool. And one thing that she had mentioned is that she is an artist first before she is, interested or knows too much really about the tarot. So she claims that her inspiration is artistic and not divinatory, and that she designs the cards around the art that she'd like to make herself, as opposed from any unique understanding of the cards. But it is abundantly apparent to me that this artist understands the tarot. I think that these are just completely gorgeous and very inspired and breathtaking paintings. Look at that star. There's the moon card, Luna. I asked Lumi about her influences, and she said, like most artists, they're varied, but especially that they include the modernists: Picasso, Laguerre, Matisse, Mondrian, Rousseau, Modigliani, Chagall, and so forth. And she says that her favorite artists are the Hungarian artist Bela Kadar, again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing these names, and Pablo Picasso. Now here we see the Ace of Cups. So we'll start getting into the cups now. And she says, one of the reasons I love Picasso is that he was a brilliantly talented artist capable of rendering the finest realistic works, but instead he chose to paint crazy images from his head. That's how I am. I don't want to reproduce like a camera. I want to create what doesn't exist in the visible world. Or if I do paint a still life or a portrait, I prefer to flatten it out and rearrange the angles or play with the positive and negative space until something new emerges. I can see the modernist influence in these, definitely. I love that they just go from one interesting color to the next. She talks a little bit about how the color connects from one card to another. So for instance, the Hanged Man would connect to the figure in the World card, and you can see kind of a similar influence there, and that would also connect with the Six of Wands and with the Knight of Pentacles. So you can see that turquoise color even in the Queen of Swords here, that implies, if you were doing a tarot spread and you saw that interweaving throughout of that blue color, then it might help you to kind of connect those pieces together. And I asked her how many decks she had made, because when I saw her Instagram, I saw that she actually had quite a few decks on there, but they weren't mostly tarot decks. They were actually playing card decks. And she said that she's physically made 18 different decks of playing cards and this one tarot deck. And her first playing card deck was designed to look like the old style playing cards that depicted the court cards as full body figures instead of just busts from here up. And that her last playing card deck was inspired by the psychedelic art of the 1960s. Because these cards do not have very clear stated titles on the bottom. For instance, this doesn't say Ace of Wands. It's something that is going to take the tarot reader having sat with these cards and being able to really recognize what it is. Now, it might just be obvious once you look at these that you can see, all right, I see the two wands crossing, so I know it's the Two of Wands. Here I see the three. But one thing that I actually really like about that is the fact that sometimes you have a really beautiful artistic card and then it has a graphic word across it that says Three of Wands, and it can kind of, do you guys know what I'm talking about? It can kind of detract from the beauty of the artwork when it has this overlay of the statement. So it's a little bit of a balance between ease of knowledge of what the card is and maintaining the actual beauty of the design. So in a case such as this, I am so much happier that she decided to go ahead and leave the titles off. But like I said, it might take a little bit more attention to be able to recognize, okay, which card is this right off the bat? It still has the Roman numerals there, so that's very helpful. And again, you can see this is not a Rider-Waite inspired deck. It's the Marseille. It's more of a Pip style deck where the Eight of Wands simply has 8 wands on it instead of seen with people interacting. Wow. I mean, if you just see the difference here and what it is that the color really conveys and creates there. There's the 10. And she shared that she's actually working on another tarot deck, a Pip style tarot deck, using a technique called monoprinting. And that involves the transfer of an image from an inked plate, and it allows only one print to be made from that ink design. And so that is very much a labor of love. And she said that when you print it, the image comes out reversed, and it's very messy, but the results are worth it. There we see the Queen, and here we have the King of Wands. Here are the Pentacles. I did ask her which card she did first, and she replied, the Fool. I started at the beginning. I guess that's a logical way to do it. There's the 3 of Pentacles, kind of conveying like almost like some holly berries there, right? And I asked what were the most challenging cards, and she shared that that was the Suit of Swords, which we'll get to in just a moment. There we see the 6 of Pentacles with the Earth sigil there. 7, 8. Can you imagine how much time and work and effort would go into creating all of these paintings? So she said that the swords were the most challenging of all of the cards to paint, and the reason is, I love the aces, so beautiful. Any single one of these I would totally have framed on my wall, wouldn't you? The reason was that she was trying to paint them in a loose style while maintaining the uniformity of the space between the blades, so that was a little challenging. And you can just see that very free-flowing, what she's talking about, that loose style. I guess that's the modernist kind of style. And finally, I asked her if there was any images that were personally inspired by anything, and she said, oh, wow. It's like every single one is a surprise. Every single time I turn the card, I'm just like, ooh, wow, look at that one. So gorgeous. She said that it was actually 2 of the cards that were inspired by something that is her very favorite movie, which is The Matrix. And it was the 2 cards, let's see, the Hierophant and the High Priestess. She speaks about the architect who you meet in the second part, the second of the Matrix trilogy, who is considered the father of the Matrix, the simulated world designed to keep humans occupied mentally and physically asleep while the sentient machines use their body heat as an energy source. And the architect who designed the Matrix to be perfect, but humans wouldn't accept the program and they kept waking up. And he said that a lesser mind, not governed by the requirements of logic, stumbled upon the solution, which was choice. If humans were given the illusion of choice, even at a near unconscious level, they were satisfied and remained asleep. And the lesser mind to whom he referred to was the Oracle, the mother of the Matrix. And so she says that she very much had in mind the architect and the Oracle when she created this pair of cards. She also mentioned that there is a relationship between the High Priestess and the Justice card, because numerologically they both carry the 2 energy. Justice, because it's the Roman numeral for 2, it's actually 11, right? And the High Priestess, because it's the 2nd arcana. And she talks about them both carrying the energy of the divine feminine, who she personally associates with the Black Madonna. So there are plenty of little connections running through this deck that readers can pick up on. When I asked her if there was anything else that she wanted me to share, she said she did have a recommendation for people who are learning to read pip style tarot decks, which are the ones where, again, the Six of Pentacles just has 6 pentacles on it. There's the Five of Pentacles. And her suggestion, which really is the same that I would suggest, is that you study numerology. And if you know what fives mean in numerology, then you can put the number 5 together with the suit, and you can have an understanding of these minor arcana. Now, what numerology may mean to you is going to be different depending upon the style that you study specifically. So because my background is in Hermetic Kabbalah, my understanding of the numbers is the Kabbalistic interpretation. And that means that every number corresponds to one of the spheres of the Tree of Life. And the spheres of the Tree of Life are numbered 1 through 10. And I use those meanings to understand what the 1s through 10s of the tarot are all about. So for instance, 5s correspond to the planet Mars. And Mars is the planet for change and severity and movement and force, and it's the energy of the tower, really. So when you see the 5s in the deck, 5s oftentimes, they imply challenges and things where there is pressure and things that you need to work through. Where 6s correspond to the sun, and the 6th sphere on the Tree of Life is the center of the tree. So 6s oftentimes imply harmony and balance and a centering. So I'm just so thrilled by these. I already know that this is going to be one of my new favorite decks. I can't wait to get in and start using it. These cards, just as individual cards, are inspiring unto themselves. There's so much going on here. The colors are so rich. The quality of the cards is great. I think I showed you guys the backs already. And I will definitely link down below so that you also can follow Lumi on Instagram. And I will include the link into order this deck. But I hope that you guys have really enjoyed this look at the Tarot Days Ozark. And I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to leave a comment if there's anything you guys want me to talk about or show or open. And give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.